Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How is everyone this morning? So good, I hope. Good morning, Dawn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think you're new here. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Sue. How is everyone today? Oh my gosh, it is a beautiful day in Arizona. It is going to be blistering hot, but I am going to be, well, to be quite honest, I'll probably be cleaning my house for a big portion of the day and then making art. You know what I mean? That's like my prize for doing the stuff that, you need to do. That's for sure. That's for sure. So it always, doing this once a month is kind of crazy because it feels like it's been so long since we did it before, because last year when we did it every week. But that started to feel like way too much. I was having to do way too much research and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, good morning, Laura. How is Florida this morning? Oh, it's gorgeous in Jersey. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm telling you, nice weather does have an effect on your disposition, doesn't it? Although I do like a rainy day. But I'm kind of a homebody, so, And we've all kind of had to learn to be homebodies, haven't we? During the pandemic? Good gravy. So if you are brand new here, I would love it if you would follow Corbiere-Scott Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That would be fabulous. And then once you follow me on all of those platforms, if you could join our private Facebook group, Let's Get Artsy with Corbiere-Scott. I would greatly appreciate it. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome back. Hey, Sherry. How are you? So good, I hope. So, good morning, Keels. I thought we can't not acknowledge that today is September 11th. And so I'm sure that you've all been having all the feelings this morning, It's just, it's one of those moments in time that everybody knows where they were, they know what they were doing, and they know the tragedy of those first couple days, and then the tragedy that kind of continued, right? But I was thinking, wouldn't it be lovely to take some of that energy and put it towards celebrating another fellow American? And that's why I chose Grandma Moses, and it was her birthday on Tuesday. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? We had Frida and Grandma Moses that had birthdays. I thought that was interesting, right while we were getting ready to do our artist study. So anyway, let's just start talking about Grandma Moses. So here she is in all her gorgeousness. So I'm going to just start talking about her, and then we'll start to do our actual, compositions and work in our art journals. So her name at birth was Anna Mary Robertson, and then she married Mr. Moses, and so her last name was Moses. She did nostalgic paintings that depict farm and rural American life, which, seriously, I just think she just speaks to me. Her stuff is just, this is called The Threshers. I don't know if you can see, because it's a little bit of a darker picture, you can see that they're threshing the wheat, and I just love it. There's another version of the Threshers. I just love it. It's just, she has such a style and capturing a moment, She's the #1 most famous primitive artist ever. That's quite a monocle to a moniker, I guess is the correct word. 1969 postage stamp honoring Grandma Moses was published, featuring a 4th of July painting, which the White House owns. How cool is that? We've studied quite a few artists whose works have been in the White House, which I love. She liked to sit quietly and think, remember, and imagine. Then I'll get an inspiration and start painting, and then I'll forget every how things used to be and how to paint it. She would sit on an old battered swivel chair perching on 2 large pillows. The masonite on which she painted would lie flat on an old kitchen table before her. There was no easel. Crowding in her studio were an electric washing machine and dryer that had that had overflowed from the kitchen. How cool is that? You know, when we get caught up in that everything has to be just so, it doesn't, right? We can just paint wherever we are. I love this checkered house. This is one of my favorites. It's just, think about the time it took to paint all of those little squares and all of those crops in the fields and the lake behind. Oh, I just love it. She was discovered in 1939 when a New York art collector named Louis Calder saw her work in a drugstore window, found out who the painter was, and drove to her farm and bought 15 of her paintings. 3 of those paintings were included in the Contemporary Art Unknown American Painters exhibition at MoMA, which I think is just, can you imagine? Can you imagine? And here's the thing. She didn't start painting until she was 76 years old. 76 years old, which is just, to me, like, how inspiring that it's never too late to start, and that she had this prolific career at 76. At the time of her death, she had amassed, I believe, over 1,000 paintings, and she died at 101. Here's a quote. A strange thing is memory and hope. One looks backward and the other looks forward. One is of today, the other is of tomorrow. So with that being said, I have a couple other little quotey things to talk to you about, but with that being said, let's start working in our in our art journals, because this class is only an hour long. So lucky enough, I was able to find that I had an open space next to my first Grandma Moses painting. Where is it? It's coming up. It's coming up. There we go. So here's my first Grandma Moses painting. And I want to talk a lot about that. It is not done, but just know that that's okay. It's okay to have things be a work in progress in your art journal, that you can work on it for a while and then you can close it up and wait for inspiration to hit you again. Every now and again, I'll just go into my art journals and I will just like, what can I add to that? Or I will think of something that I'm like, oh, I know, I really wanted to thinking about deepening that pink, or really thinking about how I can add this to that or that to that, or I want to outline things in black to kind of make all the colors pop a little bit more. I want to add some white, whatever the case may be. Just think about and ponder the fact that you do not have to finish it all in one sitting or all in one weekend or anything. So Grandma Moses was a huge, because she painted landscapes, I want you to be thinking about your landscapes. Good morning, Lori. How are you? Hey, Cindy. Yes, tweak. Exactly. Exactly, Cindy, Sherry. Sorry about that. So, because she painted landscapes, I want you to be thinking about a landscape that maybe you have back in your memories, that you want to capture in your art journal. Think about that. Or it could be something, remember, this is your painting. You can do whatever you want. So we need to draw a horizon line. So I drew my horizon line right here. And then wherever you want your vanishing point to be, you need to mark it. So I marked mine in the middle, but you could very well have it here. You could very well have it here. And then remember, all lines go to that, right? So if the house that I want to draw, if I have my vanishing point here, all lines will go to that. Does that make sense? Perspective is like, we're doing a very basic study on perspective. This is super, super basic. It goes on and on and on, kind of like color theory, but you'll get the effect in your art journal if you just follow this easy peasy. I'm just changing my mind. I think I want my perspective. I think I want my horizon line a little lower. So I'm going to put my horizon line more like here. Right? And then I'm going to put my vanishing point in the middle, because I want the house that I'm going to draw to be kind of my focal point, because the house that I'm going to draw is the house I grew up in, and I want that to be, front and center. So think about what you're going to draw. Get out your pencil and draw your horizon line, and then do your vanishing point. Remember, I said it can be whatever you want it to be. So, think about how you want to represent what you're going to draw. So here is the house I grew up in. Is it the most darling house? I just love it. So I want the house to be my focal point. And I hope that as you think about what you want to draw and then eventually paint, that you will paint something that kind of has a connection to you. Do you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, I revisit them all the time, Lori. I mean, I get my idea down, but sometimes during our class time, we don't have time to finish it, and that's okay. And it's also okay if you're just not feeling it that day. Go back when you are. All the great artists did not paint things in a day. Do you know what I'm saying? You want to perfect your skill, you want to work things out, and that's what an art journal is all about, right? I mean, this one is just kind of a little bit different because we're studying the great artists, but oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many pictures we had taken in front of that little Tudor. Oh my gosh, I just love it. I just love it. And my dad was telling me that this house, and it was just during my last visit home, he was telling me that this house was built from one of those kits. I mean, we didn't build it from one of those kits. We certainly bought it, years later. But that It was a kit from, oh gosh, he told me the name of the builder too, and now I don't remember. But isn't that cool? Don't you just love learning all that little bit of history? And then I think about my memories of home, you know? It's like I remember when we were moving in it, and us three kids were just sitting in the living room or the dining room with nothing in there. It was just a big echo chamber, and it was just waiting for my parents to finish painting or whatever they were doing, you know. So I'm gonna just start drawing. So I hope that you have chosen your whatever you want to pay tribute to this morning. And let me know what you're painting. So I want to really play up the front of this house. You know what I remember about this, the front of the house, like the front door, there was a, oh, Keels, I love that. There was a closet over here that was kind of that same shape. And my mom's sewing machine was over here in that entryway. Isn't it funny the things you remember? So it's just going to take a while, and that's okay. I want everybody to know that, you know, this certainly won't be a finished painting. And remember, this is Grandma Moses' style was very primitive. So don't freak out about your drawing skills. It was very folky. It does not need to be like an architect's rendering, right? It just needs to be like, I want more than the painting value. I want your memory value to go up, you know? So my bedroom was up here. My sister and my bedroom was up here. And my brother's bedroom was up here. And this was the dining room. Over here. It seems like maybe the windows were kind of taller. Closer to the roof line. Interesting. And this was the living room. So this looks like it needs to go over just a little bit. Good morning, Joe. How are you? And this window was wide. And you know, we lived there during the 70s and 80s. So I'm just going to tell you, the curtains in the living room were made from burlap with big wooden ring, what do you call that? You know, that my mom sewed onto the top of the curtain and then went across the rod. But they were big wooden rings, and they were kind of thick. Like, I kind of remember them being quite thick. Anyway. And when we moved in over here, underneath this window were poppies like you can't even imagine. Like poppies and poppies and poppies. And throughout the whole, like in front of the house and on the side yard were all tulips. Like so many tulips. But I remember that there was a, so I need to think about how I want to do this step. I don't know. Hemming and hawing about that. But up here, there was a pump. It wasn't a working pump, but it was, there was a pump. Like a decorative pump. And back when we lived in here, there were these big cement planters. Do you know, you've seen those a million times, where it's like there's a base, and then it kind of goes skinny and then bigger, and it has like flowers kind of smushed in the, you know, shaped into the cement, into the concrete. So just remember that the pump is going to be big because it's closer to the forefront. When Grandma Moses painted, she started from the sky. She said, I love this. She said she started with the sky, and then she painted the mountains. And then she liked to work from the top down. I just thought that was fascinating. I paint from the top down. From the sky, then the mountains, then the hills, then the houses, then the cattle, and then the people. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a really cool way to look at things. So what about anybody else? Anybody else, what are you drawing? What are you, oh, there was a big lilac bush right here. I remember. Right under Teresa in my window. And it smelled so good in the spring. Maybe I shouldn't have made the house so big, but whatevs. I'm keeping it that way. And then there were flowers that grew here. In this big grassy yard. There was so much grass to cut. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to put all tulips here to represent all the tulips we had. There was a big tree on this side, if I remember correctly. So I'm just kind of getting my basic ideas down in pencil. And if you notice, oh, your house is beautiful, Sherry. I've seen a million bits and pieces of pictures of it. So I'm sure you live in a lovely area. I kind of hemmed and hawed about that. Should I do my current house? Should I do my childhood home? I mean, and it's not to say you can't do this a billion times, right? I do want to play up this. And remember that she really played with details. Like, she really wanted to make sure that she represented all the details, which I think is lovely. You know? There was a light right here. And maybe a frame around my door. I think there were shutters. Hi, Brittany. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are studying Grandma Moses today. We are playing with her style of art and her I'm going to draw these perspective lines so I can kind of remember. I just need that in my noggin, you know. Anyway, we are celebrating her life and her art by emulating and paying tribute to her in our art journals. So let's talk about, and I'll repeat a little bit about Grandma Moses, that she was a huge, she was the world's, let's see, what did I say? The #1 primitive artist ever. She was the most famous primitive artist ever. So as we're painting, we're going to be painting and we're drawing in a primitive style too. So I don't want anyone to feel intimidated or weird about, you know, proportions or that it looks exactly like it. The thing that we're doing is paying tribute to her and her style, but also to the memories of a place. I'm attempting to draw the red barn in a valley going towards our log home in Washington. Oh, that's so cool, Laura. That would be, oh my gosh, that would be lovely. That would be lovely, right? So think about, and she painted everything from memory. Everything from memory. So I am totally cheating by looking at a picture, but this isn't a picture of when I lived there. I just happened upon this picture. And you can take some artistic license, you know, if you want to, I don't know, put a little heart on the door or whatever, you know, it's what you... Oh my gosh, did we really, Lori? So we studied her almost exactly a year ago. September 12th. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? And you know me, there was no forethought in that. It just kind of happened that way. That's crazy. That's crazy. So she was raised in upstate New York, I read. And then she, on a farm. And then when she was, I believe she was 27, she married Mr. Moses, and they lived in West Virginia for a bit, and then they saved up enough money, and then they could buy a farm in upstate New York. And she stayed there, and I believe he must have been a bit older than her, because he died. Maybe he died when she was 27. Oh, I don't remember. But anyway, he passed, and she continued to run that farm with the help of her son, one of her sons, and these need to get smaller, I think. I'm just kind of getting my base out of my head. Anyway, and then she was a prolific needlework artist for a really long time, ironically, since I'm a needlework artist too. And then when her hands wouldn't allow her to do that any longer, her sister suggested that she take up painting. And that's when she was 76. 76. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? So let's just concentrate on doing something nostalgic today, you know? So if you are interested, I do have a list of some of her other paintings. We could look at more of her paintings. If you want to get a little bit, look at that. I just love it. I love that there's so much detail. Let's go back. Oh, look at this one. The winter scene. That's kind of cool. And what a challenge would that be to do it, you know, with the snow and all of that white. That would be something to see. Look at this one. Look at the wedding. How cool is that? Her stuff is just stunning. And just appreciate her her dedication to her art, her dedication to capturing life at that time in that place. So think about, and what a treat for us that's like us going right back there. We can feel ourselves going right back to that moment. And she captured everyday life. So let's see if I can blow this up a little bit. It's not working. One of her most, so here's Thanksgiving turkey. Some of her most famous paintings: A Country Wedding. I think we just looked at that. Taking in the Laundry. Let Me Help. Catching the Thanksgiving Turkey. The Burning of Troy in 1862. Apple Butter Making. Sugaring Off. The Quilting Bee. The Thunderstorm. The Rainbow. Christmas at Home. Waiting for Christmas. So Long Till Next Year. I just, seriously, they're just amazing. Just amazing. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. We are studying Grandma Moses this morning, and we are going to pay tribute to her life and her art by creating a nostalgic landscape in her honor. Good morning, Christine. So think about, we are creating a landscape, number one, right? So we need to do our horizon line and then our vanishing point, and keep that kind of in your head. And then you're going to paint, you're going to draw a landscape of some place that you want to capture, right? It could be mine is my childhood home. Sherry's doing her current home. Keely's going to do her grandparents' home. Laura's doing a barn in and hers is from memory also. She's drawing the red barn in a valley going towards their log home in Monroe, Washington, which is at the foot of the Cascade Mountains. So that would be so fun to paint. My first one was just out of my head. Like I just made it up. This one, I feel like I want to do that little house. And it was just surrounded by woods and big tall trees, and it was an idyllic place to grow up. That's for sure. So I'm feeling like I want to, I thought when we lived there, the windows were like that. And here, the windows were like that. And just know that it could take you some time, right? It could take you some time to draw something like this. So be kind and patient with yourself. I read this quote this morning, and I believe it was from Martha Stewart, that I thought there was a big window, and it was about 9/11, and it was so good. It was just a sec. It was something that was so apropos for today and just this time that we're living in. If we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and there is no time for hate. And you know that I'm all about that. That's for sure. All about that. So, I think I'm going to draw those little... remember I told you there were these little, those concrete, seems like there was a step here. Like I remember playing on that step. Oh, good thinking, Keely. Everybody take a drink. So I have my big alkaline water, and then as a big treat, I get to drink my hint, and this morning is blackberry. Has anybody else drank that hint water? I'm really enjoying it. Maybe I'll... my parents have a painting that I did a long time ago. It's little, of this house. I think I'm gonna do some more tulips on this side, because I remember when we first moved in there, it was just tulips everywhere. They were so beautiful. So that'll be something fun to capture. How's everyone doing? Are you feeling like it's starting to come around? It's starting to take shape? Like I said, this is going to be a total work in progress. It'll take us lots of time. Oh, that's so funny. I just sent my kids some with half and half. Shut up. So, does your family make Traverse City cherry coffee? Stop it right now if you do. Because I buy it to send to my kid an awful lot. Well, it's a chocolate cherry that I find in the zoo. There's a coffee place up there called Superior Coffee. It's a small, I'm not a coffee person. What is the, but they have their own beans, and they grind it for you and all of that. So that's an easy thing to send in the mail. And it's a nice... Oh, interesting. Well, now I'm going to have to Google that. That sounds cool. That sounds super cool. Well, and you know, I'm all about supporting Michigan. That's for sure. That's for sure. I remember the handle on that pump was kind of like that. It's so funny. I was just telling some friends that when we stayed at my one grandma's house on Sugar Island, we had to pump our own water. And I remember, like, you'd pump, and then you could just, then the water would come out. Like, once you primed it, it would take a bit to prime it. And then you would just be like, when the water finally came out. And we pumped it into these big metal milk cans. Oh, that water was so good. And there was a a metal, like a ladle in there. Oh, it was the best. It was the best. And that every night we would, in the summertime, we would stay up there to go to church school, catechism at the Catholic Church with me and all my 9,000 cousins. We would ride a bus, but every night we got to see the Northern Lights. And I just think, oh my gosh, how I want to see the Northern Lights again so much. So I've really been talking to Jeff about let's go to Iceland. He just thinks I'm a little crazy, but have you seen some of the pictures of the Northern Lights there? It's just unbelievable. Let's see. Let's kind of hem and haw about this a little bit. I bet it's delicious. I bet it is. It's kind of hard to remember. Maybe this wasn't as out there. Maybe it was more down. And this was like that. Then the pump, it seems like the spigot was kind of curvy. Has anybody been to Iceland? I'm curious. It was kind of like that. I remember there was like a kind of a little, it was in this, like this was in cement, but then I thought we had like flowers out here, if I'm remembering correctly. That would be skinny. See, just little by little getting there. Is everyone drawing? Are you hemming and hawing? This one kind of more like that. It's coming along. Yeah, I know. Like it's a goat pen in a chicken house. I love that. We had chickens too. They were back here. I was just telling my nephew that he was watching the Great British Bake Off, and he said, I've always wanted to make choux pastry. And I said, you know what? I used to make it a lot because we had chickens. And choux pastry takes a lot of eggs. And so I would make cream puffs like almost every week because we had all of that. All of those eggs. Like so many eggs. So many eggs. And I would, you know, in true 1970s fashion, I would, once they were done baking, I would cut them in half and fill them with like chocolate pudding. But remember, Laura, remember that they need to be primitive, right? It doesn't need to be a perfect cow. It just needs to be the representation of that. You know, I want to make sure that everybody don't get too caught up in that. I think I want to make this a little bit more perspective-y. That looks better, I think. And the details are the fun part, you know? The details are the parts that's where the memories come in, right? Oh my gosh, I just have such memories of that pump. I have such memories of that pump. Good morning, Ra. How are you? We are studying Grandma Moses today. So we are doing primitive paintings. Well, we're doing primitive perspective drawings first, and then we are going to paint eventually. But we've talked a lot about how we do not need to finish it today. It does not, we can just work on it until we're feeling it. Oh gosh, Keely, I love that, a satellite dish. Oh, I bet he was proud of that. Isn't it funny how, I mean, now, as I'm looking at it, I feel like, oh, I should have drawn it smaller so that I could have drawn all the cool things around it. Like the chicken coop that was over here. We had kind of a round, we had a turnaround driveway that went up a hill to the road. There was just, oh my gosh, so many cool things. So many cool things. Of course he did, Keely. Of course he did. So I'm going to draw the garage over here. And the back door. And the driveway. Kind of give, I love that it sounds like he loved the Cubs as much as you. I love that, love that, love that. There were so many trees. I just remember lots and lots of trees. So I'm like, how am I gonna represent them in a way that, you know, because the whole backyard was full of trees. And then we had a line of trees. You remember Midwest windbreak right here on this side of the house. So I'm going to somehow, I don't know yet how I'm going to do this, but I want to make sure that I represent all those trees. My mom even wrote a poem about all those trees. I mean, Michigan is such a tree place, you know? I don't know. I'm kind of playing with that idea in my head. So, Ra, are you going to follow along with us? I hope. Sue, what are you going to draw today? What's your nostalgic painting going to be? How about you, Christine? And Linda? I'm so anxious to hear about what you're drawing and what you're painting and what's nostalgic to you and what's in your heart. And then to see, you know, I mean, you guys can all see mine coming to fruition. I can't wait to see yours, you know? I really want to, I'm anxious to see what everybody else is doing. Yeah, I know. You know what? But here's the beauty, Ra, is that it's on here forever and a day, you know? And that you can, that's what we talked about a lot in the beginning. You can start it and you can just kind of grow with it. Do you know what I mean? You can just work on it a little bit, set it aside, come back when you're feeling it. There's no time limit. And you can, I mean, certainly post works in progress on the page, you know? Oh, your parents lived in New York when it was a kid too. Stop. Well, I'm anxious to see that. And aren't you just, for me, my heart is just full of memories, and as I go along, I start to remember different things, and how am I going to represent that, and how am I going to, just working it out onto paper, and then I can continue to work on it as, you know, as time goes by. So, and just remember, like I said, it doesn't have to be an exact representation. Like, I'm noticing that I have my poppies growing up the dining room wall. They didn't really do that. They were more there. That's why we work in pencil, right? Seems like there was a light over here too, if I'm remembering. Now I'm gonna have to go dig out a whole bunch of pictures, or I don't know. So Keely's asking about pen work. So, I didn't do pen work on this one first. I just started painting. But my natural way to work is to draw it in pencil, then go over it with ink. So then I have I have a pretty clear idea, it's cemented in my head like that then. And then I paint, and then I'll probably go over it with pen again. That's what my natural inclination is. But you know, you do you. Like this one, I just started going over my flowers. Like I had done some of it, but not all of it. And this one is so much more representative of perspective, but this one is so much more representative of nostalgia. Do you know what I mean? Like it can be whatever you want it to be. Like these I still need to paint. So just know, like it's just little by little. And every time I work on it, I just kind of, I'm just filled with lovely, those peaceful feelings, you know, that art brings me. And that's what I want everybody else to feel too. I want art to be a sanctuary. Sorry, I'm trying to not blow my nose again. And I'm covering up my nose with a Kleenex. Sorry. So like this one, I will just continue to little by little work about it. Do some flowers, do some, and I just feel like the black just makes all those colors pop. Like it just makes them shine. And I am using my Micron plastic nib pen, which, can I tell you, I love this plastic nib pen. I wish they would make the plastic nibs in like all different sizes. But I guess you'd have to be careful with that. Being super fine with that, but I love the plastic nib, that's for sure. I just have this row of flowers and this row of flowers to do my black ink, and then I have like lots of details that I want to fiddle around with. But you know, you do you. You don't have to do yours exactly like mine. Do it in your own style. Do it as you feel comfortable and as you're just kind of feeling it. That's when your best stuff is going to come out. This is what I tell my team all the time. Create as you're able and you're inspired. Because if you're able and inspired, magic happens. I have so much of my life that is deadlines and stuff that I have to do for my job, that this stuff, just brings me such immense pleasure. Not that the other stuff doesn't, it certainly does, but this, because it's just on my own timeline, and I believe that like the more art you make, the better artist you'll become. The more time you dedicate to it and it's pleasurable, the more your skill set is gonna grow and grow and grow. And I think doing artists, like revisiting artists that we've studied in the past, you can see your growth in everything that you create. Like maybe in your thought process, maybe in your composition, maybe in your painting style. You'll see growth. And sometimes you don't even realize that that growth has happened, you know? I think that's cool. And so, what's the word I want to say? So rewarding. Like, I feel like as I was doing some pen work on this last night, I was thinking, oh, maybe I want to bring in some colored pencils on this. That might be kind of cool, you know? It might be, she didn't really do a lot of shading in depth, but... Oh, Ra, thank you so much for coming. And you know, you can come back and watch anytime. I don't take them down. They're always here. That's for sure. That's for sure. I know, and it is a Saturday. I understand. That's for sure. How are we doing on time? Oh, I'm making my petals too big. I just get myself all in a zone. Oh, I'm loving this. Time's up. Thanks, Keels. Well, I hope that everybody had a great time today. I hope that everyone is inspired and will go and read a little bit more about Grandma Moses. She was an amazing artist, and she was someone we should absolutely celebrate. Yes, everyone have an amazing weekend, and meet me back here on Tuesday when I have brand new artwork to share with you. I adore you all, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so, so much. I'll see you Tuesday. Bye.